Shalom, shalom. Continuing on here. So in verse 20, and the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him. Yeah, the false prophet there is going into just one person being, or just the Vatican alone. It's going into, even though that is, you can say it's the Vatican, but really it's just ultimately all manner of evil and wickedness, basically left hand magic that Esau conjures up. But yeah, you can just say it's the Vatican as well, because that's what the Vatican represents as well. It says, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast. It's going to be on the microchip. And then that worship his image. They're going to be worshiping his image by receiving a literal mark on their hand. It's stabbed inside their hand, poked inside, through their skin, inside their flesh, to buy and sell. These both were not that hard to get. So these both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. The lake of fire is going to be America. 21. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth. See how shy with his chariot, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. And the remnant there is going to be all the other nations after America is destroyed, in verse 21 there. By Yahushua's chariot. He might just shoot a big laser out his chariot to eliminate all the armies in the Middle East. Battle of Yahushua over there. So going back to Ezekiel here, then I might get another article. Well, we'll come back to Ezekiel here. I got this other article. So yeah, that Michelangelo dome from Italy there, that's going into, and ultimately on a deeper level, if you're in the know, you can look at that article and already tell, man, that these elites, they're already preparing. This is the stage where they're preparing everything. They're preparing the military of Japan. They're preparing the military of Iraq. They're preparing the military of Iran. They're deploying and setting all the missiles in each state, because they've been sent them the memo. The memo is the actors are preparing for this third war and start investing in this third war. World War. It's going to come. Is what they want to come. Once again, I quoted that earlier in Revelation 11 or 14, if I'm not mistaken. The third war coming quickly. Because this was a recent one. This one was the one I really wanted to share here. This came out on November 26th. So while Jake was distracted with his Thanksgiving, which is really just a proud ass day for Esau to celebrate all the past and still to this day current slaughters of you tribe, specifically the tribe of Gad, more so specifically. How are you gonna come into someone else's land and take their shit and then not give it back? Replace the robbery and the rape with patriotism. But you know why? Why? Because that's why we've been cursed. So it's above us now, to the point where you have a guy that's gonna hold in his military, calling on the rise of America, the stability of America. But that's why this is the title of this article is from MaritimeFairTrade.org. It says U.S. and China's aircraft carriers mobilized in the Pacific. If I'm not mistaken, that's because of the threat of Taiwan. China. Let's see. Wanting to take Taiwan. Let's see here. We'll read some of it here to find out. It says, on a recent Sunday, both the United States and China mobilized their aircraft carriers in the Western Pacific, accentuating the intensifying competition for naval dominance in the region. This development reflects ongoing geopolitical tensions, particularly as the U.S. Navy's USS George Washington recently returned to its home port in Japan after a maintenance period in Virginia, embarked on sea trials. The carrier had not been operational since its return, which took place last November. And once again, they're saying so China mobilized their aircraft carriers in the West, and I think they say that they at the same time, U.S. just responded, which is always usually the case, and they say here reflects the ongoing geopolitical tensions. That means the third war. That means another war, another possible war, which I'm hoping that this does lead to the third war. That this can lead to it. Hopefully, Lord willing. That's the point on that one. They basically mobilized their army. I want to give this here, so that's just going into the third world once again. In this article here reads, UK security, food and economy at risk without climate action, experts say. Yeah, because the UK, the brother's going into it recently too. The European nations are basically getting weak. They're getting weaker, and like brother was mentioning, it'll be way more easier for them to go and side with Russia than who's closer to them and can financially and resource also reasons for resources as well as reason why they would want to join up with Russia instead of America. America's all the way. You gotta think about it, America's all the way on the other side of this Europe, the EU and NATO regions. So why wouldn't they just side with Russia? That's what me and the brother believe will be the case. Maybe not in that particular order, but somehow, some way, however the Lord can works it out. NATO will betray America. It reads, only urgent and radical action can prevent systematic breakdown affecting our economy. Food supply and national security. This was the stark message from the UK's first rational emergency briefing on climate and nature to policymakers this week. The briefing's central message was unequivocal. The foundations of Britain's economy, security, and governance no longer make sense in a world being rapidly de-established by climate and biodiversity breakdown. 10 experts spanning science, economics, food, medicine, security, and civil society were comprehensive and clear that this is not a moment for idealism, but for immediate action and risk management. Several speakers noted it is above all a moment that demands political courage. Yeah, right there, that says it all right there. Demands political courage. And what's that courage going to be? That's going to be them, basically NATO as a whole, retaliating on America at some point. At some point when this third world war happens. And it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't been, World War III hasn't officially started yet. It's ultimately going to be officially started when it goes nuclear. And this other article was going into it. Guam hosts U.S. allied navies for Indo-Pacific exercises. Guam recently hosted U.S., Japanese, Indian, Australian, and South Korean navies for multilateral exercises, including anti-submarine warfare and advanced maneuvering scenarios. Once again, prepare for war. Wake up the mighty man. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. And that reminds me of that scripture there when it says, let them come up. It always reminds me too of a lot of times of when in the book of Samuel, when Jonathan was told by the Philistines to come up. But anyway, this is joel3 and verse 9. Proclaiming this among the Gentiles, prepare a war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruninghooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Beat your plowshares into swords. That's what these nations are starting to do. You had Guam. Let me look at what that is. It's a U.S. territory. It's a U.S. territory in the Philippine Sea, near Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea. Near the Philippines too. And hence the title of Philippine Sea. Yeah, that's what you have there. Nations are preparing for war. Guam recently hosted U.S., Japanese, Indian, Australian, and South Korean navies for multilateral exercises, including anti-submarine warfare and advanced maneuvering scenarios. Malabar 2025, which spanned November 10th to the 18th, involving advanced maneuvering scenarios, anti-submarine warfare, anti-surface warfare, information sharing, maritime operations, and various subject matter expert exchanges to improve overall interoperability between allied forces, according to a U.S. Navy news release. The Malabar exercise began in 1992 as a bilateral exercise between the U.S. and India. The exercise has since evolved in scope and complexity and now includes Japan and Australia. And that's the point there. That's the point there. So that's the Lord right there sending the message to these people, to everyone here on earth. Everyone's going to be tried and tested. Our mothers are going to be tried. Our own biological mothers that birthed you, whose womb you came out of, is going to be tried, whether you like it or not. She may get stabbed by some crazy ass crackhead, AIDS, who knows? Your children's going to be tried. If they're not the elect, your children may die. It's just hypothetically speaking, these are scenarios and things that, regardless of who it may happen to, me or you or whoever else, more than likely of those, the 2/3 are going to be seeing these things happen. And it's going to be a time of testing, a time of trouble like none other. That's why it's 2 Esdras 16 verse 8. The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? That's the plague that the Lord is sending right there. The fact that You're having these nations starting to set up missile defenses. You have U.S., Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, and South Korea doing allied military drills together. You're having more political turmoils with the whole Taiwan situation. Okay, China coming up against the U.S. Their submarines, both sending their ships, but they haven't gotten physical yet. So it may take some time. This thing may stretch out still, brothers. Maybe be here another year, another 2 years. Yeah, the third world may not fully be announced until another 2 years from now. Just speculating through faith, through spirit, speculating. We'll see. Have to see. So this is point 1 in verse 11. The Lord shall threaten. And how is the Lord threatening? Through his servants, the prophets. Amos, the 3rd chapter. This is verse 2. You only have a known about. Okay, verse. No, the point 1 is Amos 3, and this is verse 6. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord has not done it? Surely the Lord will do nothing, but he revealed his secret unto his servants, the prophets. Come. So the prophets are the messengers to convey prophets are sent to convey a message of his to nations, peoples. This is Jeremiah 28 in the GMT, verse 8. The prophets who spoke long ago before my time and yours, this is Jeremiah speaking, predicted that war, starvation, and disease would come to many nations and powerful kingdoms. And the prophets are still here. We're still back here. False Christianity doesn't teach you that there will be prophets and that they're going to be from 12,000 of each of the 12 tribes, and that's specifically the only prophets that are here today are some of them, not all of them, but is the whole 144,000 as a collective. They are the ultimate prophets, and Yahweh Shai as well above them, and then the Father too, and the angels are out there too. They prophesy too, and anybody can prophesy. Really, you had heathens that prophesy. A heathen can prophesy what's going to happen right now. Trump is prophesying what's going to happen by him basically playing out what prophecies are going to be saying he's going to be doing. And we've been seeing this, especially we saw this year. We're still seeing it with Isaiah 19. Isaiah 19 here, verse. Down here, let me find it in verse 4. I will hand the Egyptians over. Egypt, here's America today. Not going to go all into that. You can see the breakdown yourself. To the power of a cruel master, and a fierce king will rule over them, because of the Lord Almighty, Yahweh Shai. A fierce king will rule over them, and this fierce king is Trump today here in America. He's going to make this happen as well. He's going to make Isaiah 31 here from the past. Isaiah 31 and verse. it's probably in Isaiah 19 where I was here. Isaiah 19 verse 2. I will stir up Egyptian against Egyptian, brother will fight against brother. That's Edomites against Edomites, Jakes against Jakes, neighbor against neighbor. That's Edomites versus Jakes, Jakes versus Edomites, city against city. It's going to be this literal city against that literal city, kingdom against kingdom. Yeah, the kingdom of China, Iran against Western nations, NATO, EU, Ukraine. Yeah, and that's about it. That's all of America's allies. There is NATO and Ukraine. But all Russia really needs is China. All Russia would need is China, really. You wouldn't even really need he would have more difficulty without Iran, but that's all really Russia would need then, Iran and China. Fine. But yeah, that's the point there. That's what's going to happen. I think we're on this article here. And EU is talking about, UK is talking about they're looking for some political courage. They're asking for more help, but America's not going to be able to provide longevity for them in the long run. This is from Yahoo News, and its title is "Farmers Issue Warning as Trembling Phenomenon Trends Major Crops Even Worse Than It Was Expected." This was published November 29th. Today is December 1st. It says, while temperatures continue to rise around the globe, communities are dealing with the costly impacts. This includes farmers who are struggling to adjust to wildly shifting weather patterns. What's happening? As reported by The Independent, Britain experienced its second worst harvest on record in 2025, impacting the nation's food security once again thanks to a combination of drought conditions and the warmest summer on record in the UK. Farmers are facing a growing number of challenges while attempting to ensure a healthy harvest time. The harvest is even worse than expected. It marks the second successive poor harvest, following one from one of the worst harvests on record last year. After incredibly heavy rainfall made worse by climate change, said Tom Lancaster, land, food, and farming analyst at the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit. The point here from this article is basically the crops here are being threatened. And either way, we still have food and some fair, at least decently fair weather to make these crops grow and give people these vegetables and fruits and stuff of that sort. But basically, it's going to come to a point where it won't matter either. Okay, the Lord's going to come and make these 4 storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. 2 Peter 6 and 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the 4 storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. God. What do you think that's talking about there? Storehouses right there. Full storehouses there. That's your Walmart. That's your Costco's. That's your Whole Foods. That's your Mexican supermarkets, Chinese supermarkets. You can get your food staples from, produce and dairy and whatnot, protein and whatnot. Yeah, so assume that those are all going to be found in. And really, it's not going to be because of the bad crops. I just bring out those articles, but I know damn well it's not going to be through a literal famine like the Lord brought on Egypt when He plagued Egypt for 7 days and 10 days. I think it was. That's like, yeah, got that confused there with something else, but the Lord is plaguing Egypt for however amount of time it was, with 10 plagues. Okay, and I just personally believe that the Lord ain't doing America that way or this kingdom this way, because that's not. The Lord looks at that and like it's something He already did. It's something He already done did. So really, what the Lord's going to do is He's going to bring something even worse, something even far way worse than all those 10 plagues. What the Lord's doing to America and what He's going to bring to America, it's going to be 10 times worse than what He did with Egypt, ancient Egypt, ancient Nineveh, ancient Rome, all over again, man. And this is what the Lord's going to bring, and these are the prophecies. It's going to be coming to pass soon. So I got to get right. 2nd Esdras 15 and verse 19 here. Point of the lesson's been made. These are just updates and current prophecies, things happening on the news. Hope y'all were edified, but this is 2nd Esdras 15 and 19 before I close out. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. So why is people going to be doing this? Describing an economic collapse. 2nd Esdras describing the economic collapse before the final collapse happens with the third woe. By the third woe, through the third woe is what's going to be the catalyst to bringing in the second wave. You read about in 2nd Esdras 16, where that is actually going to be cast out as done worse than the first wave of this these prophecies coming to pass in their order. First wave here is 2nd Esdras 15. You can read about it. But yeah, this 2nd Esdras 15 verse 18, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid, and men shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for a great tribulation come. Lack of bread is a lack of food. And it's mentioning people spoiling each other. People don't just start spoiling each other and robbing each other at a mass alarming rate, at a high rate for nothing. Okay, with the lack of bread that's going on in the city, if you have ever had a lack of bread in the city and lawlessness, crimes happening in the city, then it's safe to say that kingdom or that state, wherever it is at, is on the verge of an economic total collapse. Okay, that's what these elites are coming to bring through their own means, over the left-handed power, the left-handed magic. They're basically doing what we're doing on the left side. Talking about the wicked elites. Basically what we want to bring, but on the left-hand side. We want what they're going to bring, the mark of the beast. Yeah, they're trying to implement their new world order agenda. But on the right-hand side, where we end up coming in at the right time, through our king, our leader is going to lead the way of the Yahweh, through the great military campaign Yahweh is going to come to fulfill. Yahweh returning is going to be a military campaign of the cooping of the American and all the heathens' kingdoms, scriptures, right? Well, with that, that's pretty much the point. I think this was the point there, the lesson. the point of the lesson. I'm going to close out with second Esdras 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the road, and Jacob is the beginner, did not follow with time. Shalom and Lord willing, this is edifying. Until next time, Lord willing.